Turn your radio up and listen. It's time for City Life. Here's Rob McGowan.
Just awesome. busy as always. No change in the world.
No, well, we're trying anyway, our little corner of it.
Yeah, that's true. That's all we can do, right? Just go out and make a difference. Do something special.
That's right.
Well, I got a new show now on Saturday mornings. So what I'm doing is having the counselors each week, different counselors on. And the idea behind it is when you're driving in to get your lumber Saturday or get your groceries, you can listen to what's going on locally. So instead of us always talking about, oh, what's the council doing? Most of us don't even know who council is. But maybe the show will invite people, as to what they do and how it makes a difference in our city and get people involved and participating. So that's the goal of the show. And I had Sam on talking to him the other day. So he's going to be part of the first show and you're going to be part of the first show. And
awesome.
Two of my friends, I thought, why not? Start with people that I've known for a long time.
That works. Yeah, I get that part. I understand that.
Oh, so how has council been since you got on there? First days, I asked Sam this question too, like, what was it like? You have expectations going in. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
How's it going to work? And obviously it's never like you think. It's different. So how was it for you?
It was the opposite of what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know what? I knew it would be busy. I knew that there would be lots to learn. So, I mean, that part, was absolutely the way that I thought it would be. But it was really quite amazing right from that first week. So I think the results were announced around the 25th of May. And so that next week was June 1st, and I'll never forget it because it was our first night of orientation. We were sworn in that next Monday night, and you know what? That was a really wonderful experience. It was our family. We COVID rules, of course, so we couldn't invite the public. It was like 40 degrees out, and so they had planned originally on having it in the park, but they couldn't because of the heat warning. So we ended up in the Kin Center with our family and the directors from the city, and it was such a wonderful personal moment. And we got sworn in by Judge Ferguson, and that one I'll never forget. I got to use the Bible that my uncle had, and my uncle passed away last summer, so it was really a way for me to have all of my family there. And then we started like immediately. We started orientation, and the city manager, Mike Noel, had, I think it was like 6 weeks of orientation twice a week, 2 to 3 hours each night, and presentations by all of the city directors. And there is so much to learn. Like it's incredible what goes on, in City Hall and what goes on in the city and what we're responsible for. So that first initial couple of weeks was just, my brain was, wow.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But it's been amazing so far. Lots to learn. There's no question. I don't think I'll ever stop learning.
Oh no, that's a good thing.
Yeah. And we've there's been some mistakes made. We learned, and the last city council and councils before us made decisions based on the information they had at the time, right? And so, as you learn more information, you improve those decisions, or you kind of make different decisions going from there. So we've learned a lot in the last few weeks, and one of the biggest things that's come out is we need to communicate better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
well, hopefully this helps with that.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? And in any way that we can talk to people, and listen and have them, tell us what they're thinking as well, is such a great opportunity. But that's really one of the key priorities for this new council as we go forward, is communicating a whole lot better. And not just communicating, because we don't want to just tell everybody what we're doing. We also want to get that engagement back so that we can hear what's going on in the community, how people feel about things, and what their vision of the city will be going forward as well. So it's that two-way communication, not just us kind of downloading information.
That's true. So what, moving things forward, when you jump right in and got into council, and your first item when you start, what was the very first thing you started working on, and And how did that process go? And how did you feel about that when you guys got into it and said, okay, we're going to do this? Did everybody agree? It was unanimous? Yep, we're going to do this. It's all perfect.
No, no, and that's
No.
the great thing, right? There's everybody comes with so much experience, right? So much community experience. So there's lots of discussion, and all of the meetings are public, which is great. So that discussion is really, out there and for everyone to see. The first couple of things we tackled, to be honest with you, they're not sexy things, they're not exciting things, but they're very necessary things. And that was rezoning of bylaws, like bylaw rezoning. And so we have some incredible development coming to the city for the first time in years and years. And that was actually one of the public meetings we had last night, was to vote on some of the applications for rezoning. And what those mean truly is that a developer has come in, or someone wants to build something, whether it be a single home or a series of apartments or whatever it may be, and they apply to rezone private land that they've purchased. And that has to go through a whole bunch of evaluation and review, and then it gets to us, and we can either say yes or no, we think it's a good idea, and so, or we can make modifications to those. And what that means then is that then if we do go ahead with it, they get to build it, and if we say no, we don't think this is a good idea, then they don't. So, but we've got an incredible amount of development coming to the city over the next few years, and that's really exciting. We've got some affordable housing in there, and we know for years that we've had a really low vacancy rate here. We have no housing available, or very little of it. So to see the developers want to come in and help to fix that problem is so exciting for us.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And, so one of the issues Sam was saying, he was talking about the bridge, and it seems to be a hot topic. This
Absolutely.
3 years as opposed to getting it done right away kind of thing. His take on it was get the Band-Aid ripped off, let's get it fixed, and that kind of thing. What's your idea about the bridge and how we should move forward on it?
Yeah, that's such a tough conversation to have right now. We've had 2 years where we've had, COVID, that we're living under those COVID rules. We've had, little to no tourism because of that. And to see over the next 3 years to have the bridge closed over the summertime, which of course will impact what that tourism looks like for our region. But more importantly, it adds an incredible amount of traffic to King George Highway.
Yes.
And Water Street, like on both sides, right? You have to think that bridge is closed. We got to travel at some point in some way. Mm-hmm. And it increases our cost. It will impact our merchants. Safety becomes an issue when you're seeing typically 13,000 cars on King George Highway on a regular day, and that'll bump up to 20,000. That's a huge amount of traffic on a single lane highway, basically, that runs right through our city, right? So, and the same thing on Water Street, there's going to be an incredible amount of traffic. So, and what happens, and we saw it a few years ago when the bridge was under repair, and we were down to one lane, but there ended up being an accident on both bridges at the same time. And that just brought the city to a halt, right? And so it's really concerning, absolutely. And I think that there needs to be some better solutions presented. And that was, really where council was coming from, is that, the consultation wasn't there, and how do we make this work, keep our people safe, and not have the incredible impact on businesses that this is most likely to have, especially coming out of COVID.
Wow. So where do you stand on the northern bypass and opening that up?
Oh, absolutely. I absolutely think we should have the northern bypass. I think we should have had it quite some time ago. And I can understand, some of the opposition to it is that, well, if they're just going to bypass the city, they're not coming in to enjoy our businesses and things like that. But, we do that in so many other communities across the country where we actually do pull off and see what's there. But it'll help to alleviate some of that heavy traffic that we've got going on right now that shouldn't be going through our downtowns.
Yes. Yeah. And if for years we're going to be trapped on one road trying to get down to traffic, we need
I know,
as much freedom as possible. But
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and other little things. So when you guys started the campaign, I had put out some things people had asked me about trails and parks, and now I
Yeah.
see the talk about the dog park opening stuff. So how's that moving forward, and for putting trails and parks in, and will it be a trail for bikes and dogs, or just for bikes, or what are your guys'
Yeah.
thoughts on how this will work?
Yeah, and you know what? And so many of those items that that we heard while we were out campaigning, they are absolutely priorities. And we've already had a strategic planning session on what we want to see happen over the next 4 years, and the start of actually. And that dog park came out of it, right? We heard that loud and clear as we were going around the city listening to citizens, and so we're starting the initial planning for that. They had already budgeted for it on the last council. So it really was just an opportunity for us to continue carrying that ball down the field. And something new that this council started, and that came from modeling Fredericton and their city council, is we have what are called standing committees, and we have those at lunchtime. Because it gives everybody an opportunity to kind of tune in. It's going to be live streamed, tune in and see what that discussion looks like around some of those things like the dog park. So we did have that, we had a presentation from our director of recreation to talk about what the options were for the dog park. And we expressed what we felt should happen with that. And that's what we're going to go forward to. But we don't make decisions at that particular committee meeting, but it gives the public an opportunity to hear that discussion. And then it gets sent up to our regular council meeting, and then we vote on it. And we are all very excited about that dog park for sure, because it's one more step to making our city more attractive, right, to people coming in. And just about everybody I know has a dog, right, as of like whether they be small or huge. And so they want that opportunity to get together, have their dogs play, have them get rid of their energy before they go home to relax. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I do hope that my council colleagues pass that once we hit council. But as far as the trails, we've started that discussion as well, right? And
I'm curious, with the trails, are you guys thinking like trails along the Miramichi River itself, so we could show some of our beauty and a reason to come here to the Miramichi? Is that the idea behind it?
It's part of the discussion. We don't have a set idea yet as to where that's going to start and end.
Okay.
And I think, as we look at the velo route from the north and what they've been able to do, and as they come through the peninsula and everything, like it took them, years to get they have 300 kilometers of paved trailing system, right? So it took them years to get that, and it's going to take us a good bit of time as well. But we are committed to starting that process. So we don't quite yet know where it's going to go or how it's going to look, but I'm a huge supporter of us using our river and bringing people down to it, because we are so lucky to have it and to be able to use it as a tourism attraction.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, one of the passion projects that I have, and I started talking about it with my council colleagues a little bit, and but I'm starting to develop that strategy myself, is a mental health strategy at the municipal level. And it's not that I think that city council and the city staff, or city hall as an entity, needs to start offering counseling services or developing residential services and things like that. It's really just that we pull all of our groups together and we start looking at mental health as a community issue that we need to solve. And so it's about pulling resources together, going after funding and community money together. It's about improving our awareness and knowledge around mental health. It's not necessarily us as counselors providing counseling, but it's absolutely making sure it's a priority for everybody. So I started that research part and speaking to some stakeholders. So I'm looking forward to that evolving over the next couple of years as well.
I'm curious if, as counselors, how does it work with like dealing with your provincial counterparts when you want to, because obviously we need federal and provincial money to do most of these projects and working it. So do you guys have you come up with a strategy working as a team? How can we bring these people in, sort of butter them up, give them what they need, whatever it is, is there a way that you guys are figuring out how to deal with these people and make sure that we can get the funding we need and know how important Miramichi is to all of New Brunswick? It's a place where people can come from both sides. We're sort of in that belt where we can gather from both sides if we keep growing in the right way.
Absolutely. And you know what, Rob, it's always about building those relationships, right? And so many of us have worked with our provincial and federal counterparts in different, whether it be different projects or our own work, or so a lot of us have those relationships going in now, which is wonderful. So it's about figuring out our best way to approach it, right? And sometimes we have some great staff at the city that write a lot of proposals, and they're really they know what the government is looking for in terms of those applications and stuff. So and then it becomes about us supporting them and in those applications. And we've asked for several meetings on different files, and we're looking forward to when those are going to happen. It's a little bit tougher, of course, in the summertime. Everybody's in and out with vacations and different work, but we're looking forward to how those relationships are going to evolve going forward, and utilizing those histories that we have with people coming in. Thankfully all of us didn't come in off the street with no connections, so it's an opportunity now for us to use those bridges we had already built.
Well, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I ask it was things like putting up the new center and stuff, and having the federal provincial money in place. Sam's idea was that we need to have their money in place, and I guess their strategies going forward without that money in place. And where do you stand on those ideas, and how do you think we should approach that?
Yeah, it's always better to have partners. There's no question, right? It tends to relieve some of that pressure, but the city's in a great position right now, and really because of decisions that past councils have made financially. That they've really shown a lot of restraint and financial prudence over the last number of years to be able to leave the city in a great financial position. We just had our audit done and presented on Tuesday night. So, I mean, that's public information as well. So, as much as we absolutely want partners going forward, sometimes we're going to have to make those decisions to move forward on our own, when we can. When we talk about the multi-use facility, the multiplex or whatever, there's a lot of decisions that we're going to have to make over the next, couple of months. It's funny, we joke a lot that this council came in hot. Like, a lot happened in a very short period of time. And, when we just started, and there's going to be a lot of big decisions that we're going to have to make over the next couple of months, which typically wouldn't happen in the first few months of a council mandate, but here we are, and we're ready. So there's a lot of discussion, a lot of strategizing around, what we can and can't do, discussions, with our federal and provincial counterparts as well. And we'll see what ends up happening at the end of the day. I think there's opportunity though. And some projects we're going to have to go it alone, and some projects we're going to absolutely have some great partners.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I'm just thinking that I think the biggest concern is people don't want to get taxed anymore or get any more finances added on.
Absolutely.
And they're just trying to make sure that we if we do go forward on a project, we can afford it, and we're not going to get ourselves in a position where we end up paying through the nose and that kind of thing. Absolutely.
And I think, and I know like that has been such a topic of conversation, of course, about the multiplex or the multi-use facility. And part of that strategic plan that we're looking at for the next 4 years is how do we increase revenue into the city, right? How do we improve our services? What are we already paying out for the facilities that we have? And, and I hate to quote some numbers, but I know like the Golden Hawk itself, right? We're paying, and I think it is, I would have to confirm it, but I think it's somewhere around the tune of $20,000 a month to heat that place, and that is just incredible to me. And I think it's about $300,000 a year that we spend right now just to maintain some of our aging facilities. $300,000 a year, sorry, not a month. So we have to look at that, right? What are we spending, and how do we improve that? And if we continue to pour the money into some of our older facilities, then at some point they're just going to stop being okay. And it's not that I think that we need to get rid of everything that we have. I don't. I think we need to be more creative in what we do with them going forward. If we do go forward with the multiplex, and I do believe we should, I'm going to be really honest there. I do believe that we should go forward with that project. But if we do go forward with that, then what do we do with those buildings, and can we sell them? Can we turn them into something else? How do we move forward and maybe create some revenue from them as well? So it's about finding a better solution, not just, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, as they used to say.
So the people that use these facilities, the different things going on. So are they consulted in a way about the multiplex and how what they do now would be involved in the multiplex and the design and how it goes forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, a little earlier when we started chatting, communication has become very obvious for us that it needs to be a priority. So, as we go forward with these big projects, and there's been a lot of consultation about the multiplex, both through actual hiring of consultants, but also with the public. So, and we're gonna continue that. There's been a ton of consultation about it because it has been such a hot button issue for more than a decade at least, right? So we want to make sure that we get it right. And I'm hearing that more often from my colleagues than anything is it's not just about doing a project, it's about getting it right and finding the best way to get it done so that it benefits everybody. We all live here. We want to continue to live here. We all ran for council because we wanted to do some good things for our neighbors and our family and our friends. And that's still top of mind for all of us.
That's awesome. Well, Veronique, I want to thank you for coming on to our first show, City Life, and encourage people to listen in on the weekends and find out what the city councilors are doing and how they're making their decisions and why. And as far as you say the meetings, you can see them. Where do people go to see that?
So they haven't started live streaming them yet, but they will be, and they'll be living on our website, so miramichi.org. And they'll be, so even if you can't watch, let's say if you had a meeting today at lunch and you couldn't watch it, it'll still be there next week so that you can take a look and see what was discussed and all of that.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we'll put a link to that on our webpage as well, City Life, so that'll be good.
Okay, that'd be great. And most of us are really active on social media, so we're trying to get the word out more often than not that way as well. But like I said, we've heard it a lot that we're not communicating well or haven't in the past, and so we're looking at a strategy to do that a whole lot better.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I want to thank you for all you're doing and for helping our city and making a difference and stepping up. Not everybody can do it, so it's great, and I thank you for everything.
Rob. I love
awesome.
it. And you know what? And people need to reach out. They've got a problem, they've got a suggestion. They just need to reach out to all of us or any of us or one of us, but just tell us.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I know that because I've called a couple times
yes,
already.
I know.
I was in Fredericton celebrating an artist, and I called a couple of councilors up and said, why am I in Fredericton celebrating an artist here and not Miramichi? So hopefully something's going on with that, and we're working on that and changing that aspect. And I see the paintings and the murals and stuff, and that's great stuff for our city. So that's awesome. Well, thanks again, Veronique, and enjoy your work, and anything comes up that you want to talk about, you can give me a call anytime.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rob, for all you're doing.
No trouble. You have a great day.
Take care.
Again. See ya. Perfect. Awesome.
Thanks, Rob.
No trouble. So that show is going to be on tomorrow at 9. So
okay.
You and Sam will be on in that hour, and we'll talk about city politics kind of thing. And then the video portion will come out right after that. I'll send you a link to that.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so much, Rob.
No trouble. You have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Hopefully we can get people on board changing everything.
Oh, I know. It's coming
forward.
now. It's coming.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here